Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire Service. Mark Atherton, the head basketball coach at Crestwood for the boys, joins us right now. Mark, first of all, happy holidays to you and your family. It's been an interesting year, to say the least, but everybody doing okay at home?
Yeah, happy holidays, John, to you and your family. Yes, everybody is doing well. It's been really interesting. We're all just hoping that everybody could have a safe season this year.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to a season, and we're hearing conflicting, dates as to when we could return, and obviously, where we're at in Luzerne County and the state of Pennsylvania and our country, for that matter, on when we return and when we can do it safely. And we're just leaning on everybody to try to make those decisions, and you have to go with it. I mean, it's there's not much fight here. I mean, you see certain schools that are doing one thing, but in the end, the school district you work for, or the Wyoming Valley Conference, or the PIAA District 2, or the PIAA for that matter, there's other rules and things getting in place. So I think the big picture is we're trying to keep everybody's safety in mind.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Everybody has different start dates, everybody's situation. Some already had a case of COVID and to shut down. We were probably the last school to start in the Wyoming Valley Conference on December 7th. And after 5 days, that's when the governor came and shut everything down. So as I told my team, anything we can't control, we can't worry about, because there are teams that are going to be having more practices, more reps. Can't worry about that, but let's make the most of every single practice we have in.
When you guys do resume to the court and practice begins, obviously you're going to take things slowly, and you're optimistic that, hey, we're going to try to do what we could. What was your message to your team on the last day, whether it's, you saw them in person, or if there's been some regular communication, via Zoom or email or what have you?
Yeah, it won't, we knew that we would be Zooming. We've had virtual workouts, body weight workouts. I mean, I can't say enough about these kids. Matter of fact, today we had one for a full hour, and we had every single kid, 25 kids, on the virtual workout. So I can't say enough about what the dedication these kids have had, going through everything already, and we really haven't had the season yet. And my coaching staff, I can't say enough about it, because they've been instrumental in putting a lot of this together. We've had a couple of chalk talks, as we call them, where we go over our schemes, defensive and offensive schemes. We show them some of our principles and things that they know, but that we're putting in their head. And to be honest with you, I mean, we're not getting the basketball court, but we do this anyway. We'll take them into my classroom. We'll spend, maybe 20 minutes before practice going over some things, showing them some film. So we're getting that end in. We're just not getting, the basketball court, which is obviously the most important part.
You have talent coming back this year. You guys got to put it on the floor, and night in and night out, you and every other coach in the Wyoming Valley Conference says, listen, I got to show up. Pittston's coming to town, or I got to go to Tunkhannock and play, or whoever those teams are. Let's talk a little bit about, what you know about your team for the 2021 season. It was supposed to be 2020, 2021, but,
right.
In fact, it'll be all in 2021. Talk a little bit about what you know about your team and how you think you guys are going to rise to the occasion.
Well, number one, we have a ton of experience coming back. We have Ryan Petrosky, who maybe about halfway through his freshman year, he actually took over a starting position. Jake Zaleski, as a sophomore, was our first guy off our bench, but once he got in the game, it was hard to take him out of the game. He was that valuable. You have Marcus Vini, a returning starter, and you have Paul Fiesel returning as a starter. And then you have Michael Zaleski, who was our sixth man, first guy off the bench, but he was kind of like the same way, hard to take him out of a game once you got him in there because he was so valuable. So we have a lot of experience coming back. What we know about our kids is we know they're athletes who are basketball players. So a lot of times you may have some athletes and you hope you get a couple basketball players in there. We have athletes who are basketball players, and they're smart, and they all like to score the ball, which is, to me, is a great problem. I know other people might see it as, wow, that's going to be difficult because, do you have enough basketballs to score? I think our kids will play unselfish. They're in a system that really is an unselfish system, and everybody hits pretty much same spots. So it's not where it's all geared toward this guy or that guy. So I think they will play unselfish. They all like to score basketball. If there's one thing that we're lacking, it's that we lost all our size last year. We lost Brad Papora, Brandon Naminsky was playing football at UConn or going to be playing football at UConn, and Donnie Shaw. So you're talking guys who were all our size, and now we have to overcome that with a little better box outs, a little bit more desire to rebound for smaller guys. And we also have a junior in Zane Dunsmuir, who is about 6'3", and a big, solid kid, strong kid. And he's going to fill some of that void, no doubt.
Well, we think of basketball, we don't always think of intensity. I think sometimes the general public might think, hey, that football coach is really intense. But, man, you think of the guys and the teams that you're playing, you're talking intense coaches. I mean, Mark Belinsky, he could be very intense. He could be a mild-mannered guy, but, man, he'll get after it. You throw in Al Semenza, he's a whole other dimension. He'd be the first to admit on what kind of level he's at. Pat Toole, he brings it. Mike Joseph used to bring it. Hazleton area has a new coach, and they'll have a new lead, but those kids will always bring it. And there's other teams as well, but I know you've got a fire inside you as well that a lot of people don't always see, but you're as competitive as anyone.
Yeah, I think our goal always in games, certain games, I think our goal always has been, well, I know this, in practice, you got to make it tough. You got to be on them. And then you got to, I've always had the approach, ease up a little bit in the games and now try to instill confidence and not be always screaming and yelling. And believe me, there's times that you lose that cool and you're still doing that stuff. But I think our kids will tell you our practices probably are, without me seeing a lot of other ones, are probably as intense as any other practice. I mean, our coaching staff gets after them, and in a very positive way too. It's not where you're, just yelling at kids. It's a positive way that we get after kids in a way that you can motivate them to want you to do that, if that makes sense. And, I always tell kids when a coach stops coaching you up, then that's kind of when you maybe have to worry a little bit about it, or maybe we're saying, hey, we want him to just kind of enjoy his senior year or whatever without a coach constantly getting on him. But we're always trying to make them better. And I think that's important, not only in basketball, and I think it's important in life.
One thing I always learned in the coaching field is overcoach at the high school level. You always want to overcoach, talk about the little things, but in the right manner, and everybody has a different personality. And, you talk about little things. You got a lot of guys on this team that take care of little things. The Zaleski brothers, both of those parents are really competitive. Petrosky, competitive. I mean, we got Faney, athletic. I mean, we got some competitors.
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a basketball game where parents play against parents, I'll take my parents over anybody in basketball games. We got a lot of good basketball players as parents and had very good high school and, some college careers. So, no, we have a group of kids that their parents are intense, they're intense. And I always said it kind of goes back to the kids who played before them. And we always tell those kids, what kind of legacy are you going to leave for these kids? These kids could still look at guys like a Sean Murphy, Cam Boers, guys like, Mike Palmero played a couple years ago, but really brought it. And that group could look at a group before them. And that's the example they want to set for these younger kids, the intensity in practice, the focus, the this, to that. I mean, that's the kind of kids that we always want to be playing in our program. And that's the kind of kids we have right now. I mean, they really are a dedicated group. It starts with dedication. Like I said, they're basketball players. They enjoy playing and they enjoy competing. And that's very important to us.
I'm going to throw a couple names or words at you, and, whether you want to hit me with a sentence or some words, do what you got to do. First stop is that hair of yours. It's it's as good as it gets, Coach. Talk about your hair.
Well, actually, I'm Thursday. What's it? Christmas Eve. I'm getting a haircut. I'm due for one. So, that's something that's coming very, very shortly. But I don't know. I mean, I'm lucky I have hair. I look around and I think, man, I'm still have my full head of hair. So I guess that's a good thing.
Are you on the 4-week cycle for the haircut?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt.
All right.
No doubt about it. Yep.
Your family. Let's talk about, I know you're a big family guy.
Yeah. It's very, family's always been important, and that's always been the way I grew up. I grew up in a loving household, and not every kid gets that. And I always say, to people, if everybody was, when people talk sometimes about my father, and my mother was just as important to me, with basketball, believe it or not, as anything. And, if everybody could end up and have the love that, I was able to receive, well, you know what? The memories are unbelievable, and you could, live with your parents passing away because we had such good memories with them. So my family, I try to do the same thing with my kids. You try to be, tough on them, but yet it's in a way that they know is for their best.
And of course, none of these questions are rehearsed, but think about one of the biggest things you take out of your mom. What was a life lesson or something she emphasized?
You know what? My mom was my father was that calm guy but you could get in the car with him and he could go on and off on you a little bit. My mom, no matter what, you played good, you played well, I should say. She was always that, found a positive, and she was kind of just a few words, but she was, whatever she said, and once in a while tell my father, like, enough, it's over. But she just had that presence about her that kind of, how they rule, like, kind of like my wife, you're lucky that you have them because they kind of, every time you go out to your game, kids are being taken somewhere. They're running here, they're running there. And we all know we live a crazy lifestyle, but they make it so much easier. That's how my mom was. Like, honestly, we always said, when my mom passed away, how many games did my mom cut oranges for the team, wherever my dad coached? She'd be cutting those oranges. She would have work. She would cut them before work, after work, whatever, to make sure those kids had oranges at halftime. Stuff like that nobody really see except us kids. And that's the same thing with my family. Everybody's, they see what we do on the court, but those kids see what my wife does, off the court. That makes us be able to do what we love to do.
Your dad, most people, they think of him as a coach. You think of him as a father and a coach, and a living, his basketball, prowess in northeastern Pennsylvania and beyond, that's still living in a sense of, and you're living through that right now in the sense of, hey, you're still taking that ball, you're still coaching. Some great memories, no doubt.
Yeah, there are. I mean, John, the thing that people don't realize with my father, because he was never, ever anybody who would kind of toot his own horn, but there would be more coaches, college coaches, when I was at home who would call that house that were unbelievable. And his secretary will tell you these stories too, even in his office, because she would take the calls, and you couldn't believe the who's who would be calling the house. I mean, I remember George Raveling, the coach of Washington State, staying in our house because they would go up to 5-star camp every year. And, you got to remember back then, coaches weren't making the money in the big contracts they are now. He would stay in the bedroom, right? My brother and myself slept downstairs, and we had a split level, and he would stay, we used to call it the den. And George Raveling would stay there. And then he would send a box up about a month, 2 weeks, a month later, whatever, a box would arrive. And we'd all 5 of us Atherton kids would be running around in Washington State shorts and T-shirts and stuff. So those are the memories like that are so cool to me. My father, he was inducted into the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame. And, I said, Dad, when are they having that, ceremony? And he goes, I'm not going to go. I can't drive there. I'm not putting anybody out to drive me there. I'm like, you have to go. That's like huge. He didn't want to put anybody out. No, it's all good. So that's kind of like most people be running there and getting pictures. It was kind of, he didn't want to put anybody out. And the last one I'll tell you too is pretty cool. When he, and I'll say this, and this isn't easy to say this because this is one person that really touched me. When he passed away, his viewing, the line was pretty big. And the one lady who came through the line, and it was she waited long. And she said, I worked at Family Dollar, and I just want to tell you, your father would come there, and I had no idea who he was, and he would talk to me and tell me jokes, and your mom would go get a couple things. And she goes, when I saw, the paper and saw it was a pretty big deal that it was your dad, I couldn't believe because he made me feel so special. And that still touches me that somebody would come and tell you, wait in that line to just tell your family how special that he made them feel. And that's kind of what he did. He had a way of making you feel good about yourself. John, he would sit down and talk to you at games or whatever, and everybody, you swear you knew him forever. He's that kind of guy.
Coaching at Crestwood, is that something that's still burning inside of you that you love and think you'll do it? And right now you say, hey, I want to do it 2 years. I want to do it 5 years. I want to do it as long as I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I owe Crestwood a lot. From way back when I was a young guy, and I interviewed at a couple local schools, and I was young. I loved my job at Myers. I was an assistant coach, but there was a couple of things I always felt I was ready to be a head coach, even though I was young. I also, was looking for a teaching job too, and so I interviewed at a couple, and Crestwood took a risk on a young guy. I looked younger than I even was probably. And I really always will appreciate some of those guys like a Ben Rosalowski, who was the first athletic director I worked for, a couple of the board members who have since passed on, who took a chance, and even the current, board all the way through, very supportive in everything we do. So we have a superintendent who's super supportive, with sports, and a great athletic director now, Dean Ambosy, and a good administration. So I have a special place, for Crestwood. I think I've given everything I had to Crestwood over my years, and I think they've given it back. So I have a lot of burn in me still to coach. I love coaching. We'll see. I do take it year by year because I have children, and I have to see what their needs are, and you try not to ever miss things that they do, but no matter what, you still do end up missing, events. So every year I do look back and see and evaluate, could I do that? I know I want to do it, but could I do this and balance my life still? And if not, it would be a simple break in the action, and then, come back and coach if I had to.
Final question for you. And again, I know we're getting pretty personal tonight. What's your favorite meal over the holiday, whether it's a dinner or a dessert, something you're really looking forward to?
Well, what I'm missing out on is my sister. We always would go over there for our Christmas Eve, and her husband was unbelievable what he puts out. So we're going to miss that this year. So that really bums me, because that has our whole family and we're all together. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a little quiet, Christmas Eve dinner here with a little seafood. And then we're going to have a nice ham dinner. And I'm a big ham guy. So we're going to have a nice ham dinner on Christmas. And you know what? Take a few seconds, although we run to our families and we exchange gifts and we do all that fun stuff. But this year you really could appreciate even more when things are taken away from you. And that's when you seem to sit back and appreciate it more. And I had a good friend of mine who recently lost his mother to COVID, and we were best friends. And those are the type of things you look at with your family and say, thank God, that everybody's healthy this year.
Yeah, in the last couple of months, I think you hit the nail on the head, Mark. We're all busy people, most of us that have conversations like you and I do. And then life has slowed down, and I think I've tried to soak up as much family time as we possibly could. We hope everybody obviously is safe over the holiday, has some good quality family time. It's always great to catch up with you. Great to catch up with you on such a personal level over the holidays. We wish you the best in January 21 with the Crestwood Comets.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Good to talk to you.